Nolan, are you good? Excellent. We lost Ryan. Very good. So, very quickly, if we can just open up the meeting, it's going to be slightly unusual at the beginning, but bear with us. Open Public Meeting Statement. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 announcement, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have the advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public body at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the School District of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the time, date, place thereof posted in the Board Administrative Offices sent to the clerks of the Chatham Borough, the Town and Township, libraries of the Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and the TAP. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind taking attendance?
Mr. Arnick. Here. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Here.
Ms. Clark.
Here.
Ms. Kenny.
Here.
Mr. Ryan.
Here.
Mr. Valenti. Ms. Weber.
Here.
7 present and accounted for.
Excellent. If you're able, can you please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? It's over by the door. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Okay, so during President's comments, we are actually going to break into a very, very brief executive session. You're going to be entertained by this group here. They're going to play all kinds of great music, Bach and Mozart. So if you would just bear with us, Michelle Clark is going to stay put, and she's going to let us know how it goes, but we're going to be gone for about 10 minutes. If you guys wouldn't mind just playing, and then we'll join you again, that would be phenomenal. So as soon as you start playing, we're going to break into executive session, and we'll be right back. Michelle, you're going to stay put?
I'm put. Yep, I'm not coming in.
Thank you. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, guys. Okay. We'll be right back.
Spapa, would it be possible for you to introduce some or all of these very talented musicians from Chatham Middle School?
That would be nice. We have programs that on the back of your program, you have the name of everybody, so I'm going to call the 8th graders. I have a very small group of my 7th and 8th grade orchestra. We have a concert on December 10th right here at the high school. And the orchestra combined has over about 80 students. But I've chosen these students to come tonight. They are always ready to show their talents and share their talents with everybody, and they're very special students. So I'd like to introduce Ava Finkelstein and Angela Yang. Why don't you stand up? And Joseph Yang, and 8th graders Chloe Frankowski and Audrey Myers and Zachary Serbin and Osni Bazrelian, and then my 7th graders Jessica Bao and Amelia Burnett, Jonathan First, Skanda Krishnan, James Lee, Gabby Yanata, Brooks Wang, and Oliver Wu. Thank you so much for the opportunity to play for you. We always enjoy it. Thank
Students.
you. Thank you so much. Are we done, or?
If you'd like to be done, you can be done.
Did you go through your program? No. That's all right. Sleep is very important. We're going to be talking about how much sleep you guys need. So, thank you very much for. Well, Mr. Arnott said he wants music at every board meeting going forward. When he walks in, he wants to hear strings.
Thank you, Ms. Bass.
Thank you, Ms. Bass. Thank you, guys. Thanks, kids. Okay. So while they pack up, we're going to move through the agenda. I do not have any additional president's comments, so I'm going to... Yes, thanks. I told Michelle. What? Yeah, on. Connor controls it. So I'm going to... Yep, on all the time, Matt. I don't know if anybody picked that up, but Ann said, it's a little late.
Matt was singing.
I was singing. I was like this. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
All right. In the interest of time, we're going to go over to Dr. LaSousa's superintendent report.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. We had intended to have a recognition of some of the last remaining folks who had achieved tenure. I don't know how many of them ultimately were able to join us. I don't see Sherry Rivera here, I don't think, or Sam Kenny or Kristen Crawford. But those were 3 of the individuals who we were going to recognize tonight. And congratulations to them, but that is it for my report.
Okay, excellent.
Back to you.
Can you hear in the back of the room? No. Connor, how do we get so the back of the room can hear? We need a new speaker, I think. No, not a new speaker as in Dr. LaSousa, a new physical Bose speaker.
Tried a different one tonight. We'll order one tomorrow.
Is there any way to angle your table out a little bit? Can you hear us fine? Okay. Well, we're facing out, so, and I talk loud. Okay, so moving over to the business administrator's report, Mr. DeQuilla.
I've never really been accused of being quiet, so I'm presuming that they won't have any trouble hearing me.
Okay, if you can't hear though, please
Yeah.
wave and we'll adjust that.
Just a only project that I wanted to report on is the middle school auditorium. We had a construction meeting last Wednesday. The contractor is, as I get to be a broken record, making steady progress. The installation of the ductwork is almost complete. The lighting and clouds will start to be installed. As the steel is delivered, it's being installed. Once the catwalk is finished, and the ductwork is finished, the ceiling can be given its final coat of paint. And the stage area has already been painted. The rigging up on the stage is, the installation has started. The flooring material is delivered and stored. The railings and grills are in fabrication and soon to be delivered. The seats are in production, but we do not have a final delivery date. And as I've stated before, the contractor is confident he will, except for the seats, make the substantial completion date of December 13th. I've had exchanged some emails with the construction official, and he stated that as long as the construction is substantially complete and there is no safety issue, he will issue a TCO on or about December 13th. And then the seats, worst case, the seats can be installed in January. The plus of this is that according to Mr. Lawrence, they can start practicing on the stage, testing the lighting equipment and the sound equipment. So if all goes according to plan, the middle school should be able to have their play come the end of January in the new auditorium.
And Peter, who did you say gave you?
The construction official from Madison,
Okay, and was that in writing or verbal?
in email. And
In
we are
email.
going to have a construction, they're trying to schedule a construction meeting with the Madison officials next Tuesday afternoon
Okay.
to review all of the inspections, progress, and what's needed.
Okay,
So
excellent.
hopefully by the next board meeting, I will have very good news for you.
I know, I hope so.
That's all. Well, the only other thing I wanted to report, it really is no surprise, even though the county clerk has not issued the final results of the elections, but our 3 incumbents did win their elections and will be up for the board renewal come January. And that is Mr. Valenti out of the borough, Mr. Arnock, and Mr. Gilfillan from the township.
Excellent.
No, you're going to make you
In
stand up and
January.
repeat after me and do it.
Yeah. You can do it from your chair, though.
No, I make him you can do it from right where you are, but I'm going to make you stand up.
It's like 4 minutes out of your life. What do you care?
That's all
You'll
I
be
have.
all right, Matt.
We'll give you clip notes. Don't worry.
No, you won't. None of your family or friends have to show up. Okay, so committee reports. We're going over to personnel first.
Yes, we have not met since our last meeting. We are meeting on December 2nd.
Excellent. Over to Ms. Clark for curriculum.
Curriculum met prior to this meeting this evening. We got a report on the graduates from Mr. Walker at the high school for the class of 2019, which will be at the given to the public on December 16th. I think just great things coming out of Chatham again and again. So in addition, we had an opportunity to further our discussion about possibly altering the school start time at Chatham High School. We again had administrators from the high school there to share in the conversation. We discussed how to kind of that input from students, from staff, and from PTO representatives. And just again, it's going to be an ongoing conversation. It is going to be discussed out here. It's going to be discussed in lots of different places. So more information will be coming forward. And that's what we talked about.
Excellent. Any questions for Ms. Clark or anybody on the curriculum committee? So it's the beginning of many conversations regarding start times, look at best practices, involve our athletic director, our staff, our students, our PTO representatives at each of the buildings, and try and come up with the best solution possible to get the later start times and mitigate any downside, to that, whether class has to end a little bit later. But I think there's a lot of people thinking and churning and sending ideas, which is great. So I think we're in a good spot. And again, the beginning of many conversations.
Can I just add
Sure.
one thing?
It is your report.
Well, I'm speaking to a few people in the room and hopefully people who are watching. The best way for people to share their input with the board is to come to a meeting. If you can't come to a meeting, send us an email so that we can get input. Social media is not the best place because we don't all consistently see it. And again, if you have something you want to share it with us so that we can make an informed decision and have stakeholders input in a meaningful way. So I would ask if people have things to share. We are seeing emails that are coming in and we read them. And if you can't be here, then please send it to the district email and it will be shared with us. Thank you.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. Moving over to finance and facilities, Mr. Gilfillan.
Wait, can I ask before we go to that?
Sure.
We have not made any. I get a lot of questions, and I see a lot of things. As some people think we've made almost a decision. We've not made a decision. And two is also, do we have a time frame of when we would want to do this by, or is it going to be like this is a 1.5 kind of time frame? It is okay. So I think the public needs to understand is that we are not close to making a decision. We are going to be taking as much input as possible, and this is not a decision that's been made, and it is a long way off. I think that needs to be double communicated, triple communicated, because I think people are in panic that this decision's already been made when it clearly is. It's clearly far off.
And one thing talking about this whole, we're gonna start delayed openings on Wednesdays in January, so make sure your kids come to school on time.
Yeah.
Do not have a delayed opening on Wednesdays in January.
One thing the committee curriculum requested is a timeline. We want to know what a timeline would look like in terms of how we can increase involvement in the discussion, kind of what this would look like down the road, and where it would lay out. So this is the start of many, 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 many conversations, meetings, but one thing we all agree on is the data is there to support this transition, no matter what it looks like. The sleep studies are there, the mental health concerns we have and wellness for our students is there. So we all agree on that. That's not,
Just how do we get there?
it's just what do we do to put it in place so that we can, so that's.
We are a year to 18 months to 2 years out.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
Right, so I think everyone, we have to,
With
Ed, please double, triple
Right.
headline that.
Got it
Bold
in.
letters, this is not, a decision has not been made. And
Not
the
happy
public
with
will
it.
be significantly involved, I'd assume, in terms of their input.
Here we are.
Hello.
Okay.
All right, finance and facilities. We also just met. Again, we talked about and focused on two major things. One are all the different housing developments that you're seeing across town, which seem to be growing in number by the day. The rumors continue to grow in terms of other additional areas in town that could be developed. So we are doing our best to stay on top of that and trying to understand the trends and what the true impacts of that are going to be on the school system. There's so many different dynamics of what additional capacity from both an affordable housing as well as new housing in Chatham could mean in terms of long-term trends that could also add significant pressure to school facilities. So we are doing our best to stay on top of that. And secondly, we did once again try to finalize all the different capital projects we'd like to look at for our referendum, which would be set for the third quarter of 2020. We are developing and aggregating different sections that we will put into a survey in the near term to go out to the public like we did last time, asking them for their input in terms of where their appetite stands and what they're willing to support. We need to do one more thing in terms of figuring out which questions and which different projects will be in what subset groups. And at that point, we will go out to the public, again, just like we did last time, ask for their input, see where their level of support is for the referendums. We will have, as best possible, financial implications to the public. We are always very adamant in terms of making sure that you know what the exact dollar number is going to be for you if you go ahead and ratify the referendum, which again is looking for probably September of 2020 with multiple projects across the board addressing all different kinds of needs within the district. And we'll meet in a month.
Any questions for Matt or anybody on the finance committee? No. Some more to follow on the referendum. Policy and planning, Ms. Kenny?
We have not met since the last meeting.
Okay, great. Liaison reports. I do have a report from the borough. I attended the borough meeting last Monday, and they had they talked about the River Road project. So as Matt had mentioned, we're starting to compile numbers. So the township and the borough talk about each of the projects that they're focused on at that moment. From a school district, we're concerned with all 6 projects going on at the same time. There's actually 7 pieces of property that are being developed. So we know for a fact that River Road right now, what the numbers are, 259 units. The Post Office Plaza numbers were just revealed the other day, 230 units. Dixie Dale is currently at 53 units. The municipal building was just mentioned last Thursday that it's 65 units of affordable housing. The skate park is currently at 24 units of affordable housing. The township has an additional obligation of 9 units. So the township's obligation, I believe, currently published is 74 total units. And then the busing company down on River Road, First Student, they are also selling their property, which may be developed into residential. It could be corporate. It's unknown. But the numbers that we do know so far, it's 640 new units in Chatham. We're going to have to work with our demographer. We're working with the borough. The borough's a little further along on the River Road project. They've actually published on their website the number of bedrooms, how many units will be at market rate, how many will be part of the affordable housing, the low and moderate rate. There's 39 units of affordable housing. What's nice is in the borough, they're a little further along, and they've also talked about if they do a pilot, which stands for payment in lieu of taxes, they are allowed to vote to say, for X, we will give the school district a certain dollar amount of the payment that the developer gives them. Other municipalities have done that, and they're doing their homework, and we're going to meet with the borough early in December to talk about if they do a pilot, can the school district expect any relief based on the school children expected from that facility. I believe they currently estimate 31 or 32 students out of River Road. We have asked our demographer to take a look at some of the numbers now that the number of bedrooms is available. So we're going to have to take a close look at how the number of kids in these 640 units, what's the impact to the school district. So we are meeting in early December with the borough to make a formal request to say if they do a pilot, can the school district expect relief in the terms of financial relief? If they're getting X amount of dollars, can they set aside, $16,000, for each student? But again, those discussions haven't even begun, but the borough council has mentioned in their public meetings that they have the option to set aside some of their pilot money to offset the school district expenses. So again, each of the councils talk about the project individually. The school district, we're looking at all 6 of those as a block of units and how is it going to impact the school district. So that is my long-winded borough report.
Jill, just a question.
Sure.
Who determines if in these pilot programs, who determines whether or not the district gets the money?
The municipal councils themselves.
Or the
They've
municipal councils themselves?
the elected officials. And right now, the borough is the only one talking about a pilot. I don't believe the township has yet mentioned pilot because their affordable housing is, I think, fully funded by the municipality. So it might be that if they do a pilot for Dixie Dale, we might, have conversations with them as well about that.
Arbor Green.
Oh, Arbor Green is pilot?
That's the skate park, right?
Okay. So where it's a payment in lieu of taxes, the elected officials have the authority to set aside a portion for the school district. And that's negotiable each year. So it's not like, oh gosh, 32 kids, we're going to give you that money up front. It could be 2 kids the first year. So if we agree on a dollar amount and say, $15,000 a kid, we're going to give you, there's only 2 kids, here's 30,000. 3 years down the road, if there's 30 kids, that would be a draw on the resources, and the municipalities would then discuss amongst themselves. We don't get a vote. The municipalities, it's totally up to them. Certainly we work closely. We all live in the same town. We all live here. We all have kids. We're all paying taxes. It's coming out of all of our pockets one way or the other. So there's open dialogues, which is a great thing. So that was my report. Any questions on that? I printed out my numbers. These are the numbers that have been publicized. They're all on the website for the township and the borough. So there's a ton of information on both the municipalities' websites. So if you have any questions, they have great information on their websites. Okay. Sorry about the long-winded report. Michelle in the township?
I was talking about the housing too, but
No, sorry.
that's okay.
So no, any additional liaison reports? I have the.
I do.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I'd like to just, for Chatham Education Foundation, over the weekend, they had a very successful trivia night. They had 38 tables that were held between Fish and Game and Mountain View. Also, the fall appeal is underway, and if you want to visit their website, it's chathamedfoundation.org to start the donation process, and also and you to also see if your company has a company match program that also would be helpful to them. And lastly, the teacher tributes will be going on sale later this week for another fundraiser.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you. And just a quick performing arts report. I just want to thank Mrs. Bass and the middle schoolers for coming to play. At the next meeting, December 16th, Mr. Keller will be here with the high school string ensemble, so we look forward to that. So Sal, we'll just tell we're doing it for Sal. On Friday and Saturday of this week, the high school play, The Crucible, that's starting at 7:30. Tickets are still available. The pre-sale tickets have closed down, but there'll be tickets available at the door. And in keeping with tradition, the Thursday night performance for senior citizens is being held Thursday, the 21st of November. That starts at 3:30, so if you know any senior citizens, if you could pass the word around. And again, that's followed by a dinner for the senior citizens. So that's Thursday at 3:30 for the senior citizen performance. The December concert series is underway, so please check your calendars for all of those performances. Okay. No additional liaison reports? Oh, excellent. Okay. Then I make a motion to pass the minutes of the public and executive session for November 4th. I believe Michelle is
I abstain as well.
No, I was here.
Ms. Chigarelli needs to abstain from both regular executive, Ms. Clark from the executive.
Okay. So all those in favor of public sessions?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
So
Four,
I'm doing it one
six,
at a time.
5-0, duly noted, the minutes pass 5-0-1.
Yes. All those in favor of passing the minutes of the executive session? Aye. Abstain?
Abstain.
2 abstentions.
Duly noted, the executive minutes pass 4-0-2.
Great, thank you. Okay. Sorry for the wait. We have our first opportunity for public commentary. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself at the microphone. Hearing of the citizens during public commentary section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not topics scheduled for the current meeting. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers will be asked to limit their comments to a reasonable length of time. And just as a reminder, this is not a back and forth. This is an opportunity for the public to share their comments. If there's something we can answer quickly after the public commentary, we'll try to address it. But again, it's not an active back and forth. This is your time, and off you go. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Amy Reale. I'm actually here also as the middle school liaison for the PTO meeting. So I have a quick question. Ms. Clark, when you mentioned for people to get involved and you said come to the meetings, did you mean like the curriculum meetings or these Board of Ed meetings? Okay. Okay, just wanted to verify that. Okay, now I have my CPEG hat on. I just quickly had 2 announcements. One, Dr. D'Elia spoke, I think a week and a half ago, and is speaking again this week on November 20th in this room at 7 p.m. And also our joint meeting is December 5th. So it sounds far away because it's December, but it's not. So I just wanted to, and then we'll put an agenda out like we usually do for that meeting. I think that's it. Oh, and thank you for CEF. Our table did not win the trivia night. It was my first trivia night, but I felt like a winner because a lot of people left their pens behind. So I have about 3 or 4 of these nice pens. So thank you, CEF. It was a fun night.
My name is Rosalinda Rubio Williams, and I'm here on behalf of the Chatham Education Foundation. So I'm glad you had a fun time. Thank you. And then to piggyback on Lotta's comments, I'm here to present a check to the district in the amount of $35,412.49. And that's for 10 grants that were just approved in the first cycle this year out of 4. I think what's great about this cycle is that it encompasses the entire district. So every school is represented in this check. So yes, please do answer the call to the fall appeal, purchase a teacher tribute, because in the end it all comes back to our students. So thank you. You're welcome.
Any additional public commentary?
Hi, my name is Amy DeZimian. I had emailed all of you today, so my comments will be briefer than I had thought. But before I start, I just have a question. I'm talking about the late start and what might be done about that. Is the option to make no changes an option? Is that option 7? Or Has that ship sailed?
No, everything's on the table.
Okay. So I even have a quote from Shakespeare that I thought you guys would appreciate. Because I mean, my opinion is that it's working very well right now. And striving to be better, oft we mar what's well. So I just would like option 7 to still be considered. If not, then I'd like to speak out regarding options 1 and 3 with the later end date. I forgot my glasses, so please bear with me. That's okay. Thank you, though. These options that would directly impact the students who have activities after school, whether they're the athletes, students with jobs, students with volunteer activities, outside extracurriculars, family responsibilities. I speak particularly for the athletes as a parent of an athlete, but I do include all those other students as well, if I may. And I looked briefly, and across the 3 seasons, Chatham has 34 teams. And I don't know how many hundreds of students participate, and some for multiple seasons. But there are quite a number of sports that have their games at 4 o'clock, such as soccer, field hockey, volleyball, lacrosse, bowling, golf, tennis, softball, track, and sometimes basketball. I remember freshman basketball games were at 4 o'clock. So, and I took a really informal survey of athletes across multiple sports, and they were very concerned about having to leave early. They already spend so much time at practice and traveling and playing the games that to miss classes on a regular basis, weeks after weeks after weeks, would be very detrimental to them. I know it does happen now occasionally, but if a late end were to be implemented, it would happen way more often. So I'll leave you with that. If you do move forward with anything that does have a late end, please consider that the desired result, which is what we want, of better health for the kids and more sleep, but the result shouldn't be a burden to a particular group of students unequally, and I feel sort of unfairly, unintended, but that would be the result. So thank you.
Good evening, Bill Heap, Chatham Borough. I'd like to put my JC hat on and announce our annual tree sale. It's the 52nd annual tree sale for those of you who are counting. And there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is we're having the sale. The bad news is there is a significant Christmas tree shortage. We will have no Fraser firs this year. That's 0 Fraser firs, which has become a very popular tree. And we're going to be hard-pressed to fill our order of balsam firs and Douglas firs. You might ask, why a tree shortage? Well, let's close our eyes and transport ourselves back to the year 2008, when our brilliant friends on Wall Street ran the economy over a cliff. 2009, tree farmers responded to severe economic conditions and didn't do any planting. As the Bible says, you reap what you sow. So fast forward 10 years later into 2019, and there isn't much to reap. I think there are some of you who are old enough to remember the Three Stooges. Modern moms everywhere don't approve, but there is a scene from one of their films that illustrates our predicament very clearly. In that scene, you might remember the boys are lined up, and Mo turns around and slaps Larry. Larry turns around and slaps Curly, and Curly turns around, and there isn't anybody left to slap. In that scenario, we are Larry. We're caught in the middle of a supply shortage, basically. Yeah, well.
We'll send people your way to clean
Anyway.
I have a saw. I can come, to Matt's property, but that is outside the purview of this particular board's authority.
Anyway, for those of you who are Curlies, that is our customers, you might think that there's a little price gouging going on, which we can't do anything about. So we're all just going to have to agree to blame Goldman Sachs for this one. And anyway, come on out and patronize the tree sale. We will be working as usual with the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, and the Key Club. They provide muscle that we need, and our hours are during the week from 6-ish to 9-ish, and then on weekends 9 to 7. Everything we collect goes back into town, and as far as the high school is concerned, I think we gave out about $10,000 worth of scholarship money last year. So it's a great community event, so come on out. It's also a short selling season, by the way. Thanksgiving is as late as it can possibly be, so you better get there early and often. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to close the first public commentary. There's another one at the end of the meeting if something jumps out at you. So we're going to move over to personnel first. So I'm going to pass it. Michelle, you're going to step out?
Yes, I'm gonna step out.
Okay, so Michelle's going to step out. She's conflicted. So conflicted she has to leave the room. I'm going to pass it to Matt Gilfillan and Ann Ciccarelli for personnel because it's going to be a duo.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, is she gone? Just don't listen, Michelle. I'm going to move agenda items A1 to A11 on the regular agenda as well as A7 on the addendum. No.
12 are doing separate.
We're doing 12 separate.
Okay.
Do anyone want to second it?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Any questions on A1 through 7? We're going to do the ratification separate. Oh, A1 to 11.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, with the 7 on the
Correct.
addendum. Sorry about that. No additional conversation? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 5-0.
Passes 5-0-1.
Excellent. Mr. Gilfillan?
Yes, I'd like to move action item A12 on your addendum.
Second.
So A12 is a passage of a memorandum of agreement between the Chatham Education Association and the Board of Education. And as you all know, that we have made a massive commitment over the years to sit inside the 2% cap that we've been delivered down from Trenton. But within that, and within the trends that you've seen across the state over the last number of years, through significant work by the administration, significant work by the teachers in terms of evaluating existing healthcare plans, working inside those healthcare plans to help us save money, which again is a trend that you've seen dramatically across the spectrum. If any of you saw the ratification of some of the state contracts last year, we saw significant givebacks on the healthcare side that led to, I think, almost 0% increases in healthcare, but significant negotiations within that. So we were able to come to an agreement, stay within the principles of our 2% tax levy increase, and we have passed, this will pass our memorandum of agreement. This is something the CA has not approved. We are approving it tonight. That will deliver on average over the next 4 years, and it's a 4-year contract, which I think is different from last time, right? We were 3. It's a 4-year contract versus 3 last time. An average salary increase over those 4 years of 3.2%. So once again, we were able to give them an increase in salary of 3.2%, but stay within the confines of our 2% annual tax increase. We believe it's a fair agreement. We have to thank Mike and his team, as well as negotiation team of the Education Association, that everybody put their hats on, really drill down as best possible, that we to bring to the public and to the teachers what we think is a extremely fair and deserved agreement. Most of it we can't talk about in terms of questions and answers across the board here. All of you guys understand everything that's within inside of it. And once again, it is a ratification of a memorandum of agreement. So it is not a final. Well, it is actually final. Yeah.
It's pending ratification from the Chatham Education Association.
So,
Is our vote nulled if they do not ratify?
If they do not ratify, then there's no agreement. It takes
Okay.
two to tango. Has to be ratification from the board and ratification from the membership of the association.
Okay. Okay. So we're ready to vote on this, Matt?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Duly noted, A12 passes 5-0.
Excellent. Very good.
5-0-1.
Thank you. Karen, are you heading out to the hall? Oh, great. Thanks. I was going to ask if you could do that. Okay, fantastic. So we're moving on to finance and facilities. Mr.
Yes.
Gilfillan?
We would like to move action items 1 through 8 on your regular agenda, and then number 9 on your addendum. What's that? Was it on the back? Oh, 9 to 12 on your addendum. A couple other thank yous. One, you know what, Ms. Weber, you get to talk about number 2.
I get to talk about number 2.
Yes, you do.
I didn't read ahead to number 2. Oh, this is a $250 charitable foundation grant from Bank of America. Not only do I get to sit in this lovely chair, but my corporation will pay for a certain amount of hours. Every time I hit 50 hours, they'll pay $250. And in this case, this is going to landscaping, Peter?
Yes.
Is this the second of the?
This is the second of your 2019 donations.
Okay, I'm more interested in the first.
The first one will be used as you wish to provide lunch to the custodians and maintenance staff for all of their hard-earned efforts in the summer, working through whatever temperature they need, and
Excellent.
having the schools in pristine condition for when they reopen.
Yeah, I don't think folks realize how hard our maintainers work. I mean, they are really busting their backsides all summer long in the heat, late nights, snow removal. It's incredible how hard they work. If anybody had been here during Hurricane Sandy, bar none, these guys were incredible. Pumping out the basement of Washington Avenue. One guy siphoned gas out of his own truck so that we can run generators at Washington. It was just outstanding. So one of the donations is going to buy them lunch. The other, I guess, is going for to beautify some area back by the high school there by the central office. So as long as I sit in the seat and Bank of America is offering the money, I'm going to keep donating it to the school district. So thank you, Matt.
Another one, EJ Smelt Scholarship Fund, charitable trust donation. In the amount of $8,000 to be used for 2 different $4,000 scholarships for the class of 2020. And then the Washington Avenue School PTO donation in the amount of $5,909 for a number of different things.
Is this a new one, Matt? The EJ?
I don't remember it in the past, to be honest with you.
Go ahead.
The EJ Smelts is a continue. They're just funding the scholarship earlier than normal. Usually they fund it in the spring. We got a report from the financial advisor. They chose to fund it now, and I said that's not a problem. We'll gladly
Okay.
hold on to the money, and it will be used, as it says, for 2 $4,000 scholarships for CHS graduates in the spring.
And as the other ones are funded, we will vote on those individually?
Well, if there are donations that are coming, some of the scholarship accounts have balances that just roll forward,
Right.
and we deplete the existing balances. This
Okay.
one, they choose to deposit annually, and there's at least one other where they deposit annually, and I forget is in memory of one of the more distinguished graduates, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name.
EJ Schmeltz was a phenomenal kid. I was lucky enough to have him in my class 2 of the 4 years he was in high school, and he died the summer right after he graduated at basic training in the Air Force Academy. He was a wonderful young man.
So it comes in, we hold it, we distribute it right to the students in the amount that it comes to us.
That is correct. We collected $8,000. We will distribute $8,000. I will distribute 2 $4,000 checks totaling $8,000.
Some of the charities, though, for example, the JCs will write the check directly to the recipient. It doesn't flow through our books.
Right, no, I know, but if it's coming from Chatham, it's
In and out.
And out.
Any additional questions on any of the finance or facility items? No, seeing none. Peter, would you mind?
Sure, agenda items B1 through 8, and then the addendum of 9 through 12. Mr. Gilfillan?
Yes.
Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes on items B1 through 11 and abstention on 12.
Duly noted, thank you. And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Agenda items B1 through 11 pass 6-0, B12 501.
Excellent, thank you. Curriculum, Ms. Clark?
I move curriculum items 1 through 3 on the regular agenda. We really can't talk about
Second. Can't have too much discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Duly noted, passes 6-0.
Excellent. Moving on to policy, Ms. Kenny?
Yes, I'd like to move action item 1, the first reading of policies and regulations.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions on any of the policy items? No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Duly noted, passes 6-0.
Excellent. We are up to our board business, and I had asked these two bullet items to add it for initial discussion. So the November 2020 calendar, I wanted to bring up that I would like to recommend or discuss to close school on Election Day and open school on Columbus Day. On presidential elections in particular, we have asked the Board of Elections to not hold polling places in the schools. They said that's not possible. We're going to have to do it. You're also prohibited from having a security guard at the polling place. They feel it intimidates the voters, so that's by law or regulation. You can't have a security guard there, a uniformed security guard. So I am proposing that, or I would like to discuss for Election Day of next year, next November, close school. There's literally thousands of extra people in the schools for voting. I mean, and
It's just every 4 years you want to do this?
well, right now I'm just talking about 2020, and it may not be my problem after that.
I could care less.
For me, it's a safety issue, and particularly on presidential election. I'm sorry, Rosalinda, won't be my problem after that. But 2020, I just think we would hope that there's 18,000 people voting, but there's certainly 3,000 to 5,000 people in the buildings during Election Day, and we cannot. We try and block it off as much as possible, but you still have added traffic that I think is an unnecessary risk for the students.
It's the middle school
And Washington Avenue.
right?
And and the high school too, no? No.
Just the middle school and Washington Avenue. We do the best. At Washington, we can just about segregate everybody because they go in and out of the gym entrance, and we can put up a gate, and there is bathrooms that the voting people can use. At the middle school, they use the gym entrance, but we can't gate it because the students need to be able to access all of the offices that are in the hall.
Right.
And unless we added a new gate. And,
Again, I just think it's an unnecessary risk. Again, it might be on an island because I think everybody's a kidnapper or a Unabomber. So if
No, I agree with you, but I do know, like the school that I teach in, we did effectively, there is no voting in our school district, in our schools during any election now. So I'm just wondering, granted I teach in Essex County, but what is the pushback from the Board of Elections, and how can we be more
Do you want to go?
proactive
Okay.
In terms of advocating for our students, for the safety of our students? I'm thinking even in particular at Washington Avenue, just the mere parking during a school day when school is open, there is no parking. Our kids can't go out for recess because there's many impacts. I mean, how do we advocate more on our behalf or are they just like, we don't want to hear from you? Go away?
Well, Peter can add to this, but we've tried on more than one occasion, and the police have tried with us, but they have certain requirements that they also need to take into account, like the amount of parking, how close the parking is, the handicap parking is to the polling place, whether there are ramps and it's handicapped accessible. So they can't just use any firehouse or other location, and their answer back to us was we needed to do it at the two places we were doing it. We used to have it at Milton also, but we worked together with them to concentrate those stations just at the middle school.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any?
Just to compliment or add to what Dr. LaSousa said, we've tried working with the borough, and the issue is, according to the person who is no longer the clerk, so the former clerk, they just didn't have any other feasible alternatives. As much as I'd love to have, voting in the schools, because it just eliminates a potential headache and a bunch of traffic that could be unnecessary, but our hands are tied, mandated by the County Board of Elections.
Okay. Mike, or you have any thoughts?
I think it makes perfect sense if there has to be voting in the school that day, if we can close the school and have a different alternative, we should do it.
Yeah, Columbus Day is what I'm proposing. I would certainly leave that up to the administration for the best alternative.
Can I just ask, so, it's Tuesday, November 3rd that we're talking about. Is the teachers' convention the 5th and 6th, or is it the
Yes, it is.
12th? And
It is
So-
the 5th and 6th. So
so-
Wednesday would remain a half day,
Okay.
or not. Or not. Yeah, or not. We could.
We're basically going to have an extended holiday.
Right.
Right. So it would extend the holiday. That's not why I'm doing it. For me, it's purely it's
No,
driven
no,
by
but
safety.
I just want to just talk to logistically. We'd
Sure.
have no school on the 3rd, possibly a half day or a full day on the Wednesday, and then the teacher convention
Right.
days.
Or no day. Just
Or no days.
hold school Monday and then be off. And then if people have enough notice, they can do college visits. They can,
Okay.
do visits. They can do vote by mail. I just want to start the conversation earlier so that if we do change the schedule, folks have enough time to adjust.
Would that be a day for teachers?
Yes.
Do professional development on the third full day?
Okay. So then that means, again, to bring the loop back, we're proposing that the October Columbus Day, is it?
Yes,
Yeah,
be a-
Columbus Day.
Yes,
October 12th will
be
now
a
be a
full
school
day
day.
of instruction.
Of instruction. Okay.
That's correct. Not the Tuesday before, half day before, 2 days off. Yes.
Right. I think that makes sense.
I think we have to, safety-wise, we have to.
Okay. Well, we can can you maybe do a proposed calendar that we can? I don't want to vote on anything.
The reason why that Wednesday has been a early dismissal is that that's something that's contractually bargained with our teachers unit, the number of early dismissals, delayed openings for the purpose of professional development. So if we didn't do it that Wednesday, we could do it a different day.
Okay.
If you didn't want to have kids in school on Columbus Day, we could elongate the school year, or we could look at other days too. So there are multiple options you could consider, and then we can bring a few to the table, and then you can choose which one you like best.
Okay. Everybody in favor of that? We'll talk about it at next meeting and have some options in front of us to look at.
I'm not in favor of elongating the school year.
Same.
Okay. Michelle said I'm not in favor of extending the school year by any additional days. Not for this topic and not for next meeting topic, but Mike, can you remind me, is the teacher convention, are those mandatory days that we need to close the school? Michelle?
No,
I don't think so.
they're not mandatory days, but the statute reads that any teacher may attend and not be charged a day for attending.
Okay. Okay. Oh, it is a great college visits time for juniors and seniors who are still considering.
There are districts in New Jersey that have school those days.
That have school on Thursday and Friday? Interesting. But for the purpose of the next meeting, can we just talk about Election Day?
Sure.
Options for Election Day? I don't want to boil the ocean. Okay. And the other one, are we good on the November 2020 calendar? Okay. And the other item that I asked to be put on the agenda was the name, the school districts of the Chathams, which was introduced. I have the minutes from December 22nd, 1986, which was 33 years ago, which is interesting. And it notes how many visitors are in the room. There were 2. Peter, do you track how many guests are in the room?
Yes. The number of public in attendance is in every minute.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, there were 2. There were 2 here. So at this time, and again, I'm nothing for vote. I just want to either bring it up to kick it around or something for the board to think about. Oftentimes, the school districts of the Chathams is often listed differently in multiple different databases. I mean, here in town, we're just Chatham. Chatham Marching Band, Chatham Theater, Chatham Performing Arts, Chatham High School, Chatham Middle School. We don't call ourselves school districts of the Chathams. We don't call ourselves the school districts of the Chathams. So every time we go someplace or the kids go someplace, they look for their name on the list. No, we can't find you. Look in the T's. No, you're not there. All right, look in the S's. So I just wanted to kick around. Again, we have a lot on our plate. I just wanted to throw it out there. We have the authority to change the name back to Chatham Public School. Anything that starts with Chatham. Chatham Public School, Chatham School District. I'm kind of indifferent on what follows the Chatham part, but I don't think anybody thinks of us in town as the school districts of the Chathams. Again, is it critical? Absolutely not. It's just
They call it the Bronx.
I don't know.
Just Bronx.
I don't know, Mike. Do you know why? What? Isn't that close enough? That's why I looked to Mike.
It's not.
But and sometimes we're just an acronym, SDOC. Does anybody have any
I have no issue with that. You want to call it Chatham School District?
any appetite to talk about it next meeting, or
Mike, does it impact anything?
I feel like
You're
we just
indifferent?
do have a lot of things on our plate that I'm not sure it's worth.
which is ridiculous? Sorry, Lada.
Yeah, sorry.
The school district of the Chatham.
The Ohio
Yeah.
State University.
Change it. If we can change it, change it.
But Lada has an opposing view, so I
Yeah.
definitely want to give Lada a moment to.
Well, I just
to
think
speak.
in terms, I don't think it's that, it's not limiting us or inhibiting the way the school district functions at all in terms of the college application process, in terms of how we're identified. I feel like we have a lot of things on our plate that I'd rather focus our attention on, and I'm not sure it's worth the effort.
Yeah, this wouldn't require any attention, any
Well, I mean, I
heavy
know-
lift. I just
well-
want to throw it out there for
It doesn't
people.
cost us anything to change it. We just say we're changing it.
Well, I mean, I know how
Yeah.
hard it is to change an email address, so
reword the
I'm
letterhead.
assuming
Order to do
changing
letterhead
this is
next
going to be just as difficult.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting incurring any cost.
Yeah,
And I'm not suggesting we vote on it either. I'm just throwing it out there. This is a 33-year-old name, and I understand why it was called that at the time. It was very contentious to.
Were you combined at this point?
That's what that
No,
is.
not in 86.
no, there was a vote to regionalize that was a referendum to the voters on election day. That gained passage. And then the board, the regional board once constituted, named itself by passing the resolution to name it the school district of the Chathams.
It's the school districts of the Chathams, not school districts of the
The
Chathams.
school district of the Chathams.
The school
So
districts.
the easy part would probably be for you to name it, if you wanted to name it something different. Then in the background, we would have to go through, changing the bank accounts and changing the name with the college board and
Let us know
doing
if
all
it's-
of that
if
kind
it's
of
a
thing.
hassle. Again, I'm not suggesting we vote on it. I'm just throwing it out there for discussion. I'm not bringing something up tonight and saying let's vote on it tonight. I'm just saying let's. Yeah, if it's bank accounts and not a big deal, we can kick it around and vote on it in the spring. We can drop it and let it die. Either way, so we have a couple that say don't bother, a couple that say it's silly. The school districts with Chatham. I just wanted to begin with something that starts with a C. But I do not have any. Does anybody else have any additional? Oh, sure, Michelle.
I just wanted to address something because somebody asked me why I wasn't in executive session and why I wasn't here. I'm a public school teacher in New Jersey. I'm a member of the NJEA. I have not participated in anything relating to our school contract nor the approval of the contract. And I'm very appreciative for the work that the board did and of the work our teachers do each day.
Excellent, thanks, Michelle. We really just voted her off the island.
I was a little surprised when I was called out.
That's a good story, Michelle. But so any additional board business? No additional. So we have our second opportunity for public commentary. I don't know if anybody has an item that we might want to discuss. Carolyn, I don't know. Did you want to say anything? We're at our second public. Oh yeah, we just finished board business. We talked about election day, closing schools election day next year, and we talked about considering changing the school districts with Chatham names back to just something like Chatham School District. Not voting on anything, it was just bringing it up. We closed board business, and we're now up to our second opportunity for public commentary. We did talk earlier on the number of housing units being discussed. If anybody wants to comment on that, both in the township and the borough. So we have our second opportunity for public commentary. I can only do.
33 years that you just referenced, there's never before been a public comment about Christmas trees that included references to the Bible and the Three Stooges. And we got to see that tonight.
And I was thinking, I'm so happy these are being recorded. Because sometimes when earlier when Bill spoke, he said something that remains at the top of our list as the best quote ever. We were not filming at the time, and I regret it to this day. So,
How many trees are you short?
I have a tattoo.
That remains to be seen. We couldn't really get a commitment, and we won't until they load the truck.
but you'll save one for all of us, right?
Are we gonna be buying a maple for our Christmas tree? Like, how's this gonna go down?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You're gonna be short Christmas trees, no Fraser firs, no Douglas firs, no, like, I mean, what's left?
But it's them and
Charlie Brown trees.
It's not like
No
Christmas
Fraser
trees.
firs, but we will get balsams and Douglas firs.
Oh, got it.
But we may not get our full.
Your
supply.
full allotment.
Shop early and bring your wallet.
We've been with our supplier for over 30 years. So it was very disappointing to have him call me and tell me that we weren't going to get trees.
Alrighty. Well, all right. Enough on Christmas trees because we can't hear the public can't hear Bill out there. So I just want to thank our videographers, Ryan and Nolan, and I particularly didn't say that in the other order because it would have been Nolan Ryan. So Nolan in the back, Ryan here on the left. So we do not have an executive session. You with me, Mike, on that?
Yes.
Nolan Ryan. I don't know. Okay, so do we have an executive session? No?
We do not have an executive
I make a
session.
motion to close the public meeting. Second, all those in favor? Drive safely, folks. It's a little...